Another really big rub, just like the one we found last week. And this place is just flattened with deer traffic. There's old rubs all around this, above this, below this, each side. Very good size. Here. And there is a lone bed. Pretty much see this whole bottom, but this feels right. Hi, it's September 13th. I'm on new ground today. Back at it, trying to find the giant. Where I'm at today is new ground. I have never been here before. It's super thick. It's a fairly large piece. And just back where I am right now, it took about a mile, mile and a half to get back here. There's no trees to get up in. If you got in a tree, there's nothing you could do in it. You would be blocked out completely. But this whole top looks like this. There's a lot of trails going through and a lot of tracks. But it's so dry, it's hard to see what kind of deer are making the tracks. I can just see the indents from the tracks. I'm gonna work this back a little further, and it's gonna come to where this starts to drop off on the side of the mountain. And it gets very steep and very rocky. And there's one ravine that I'm very interested in that is extremely steep. We're gonna keep looking in the same kind of stuff we've been looking in. Gonna keep trying to find those hard to access, rocky, nasty stuff that nobody wants to hunt. Now I have no intel whether or not this deer is here. It's just a hunch that this piece could be the missing piece of where he's holed up. Getting in here for the first time, I'm very confident just at how thick it is and how hard it is gonna be to hunt. And I have not seen one bit of hunter sign. No tracks, no cameras, no tree stands, nothing. So I hope that continues as I get back into the better stuff, but that's the goal today. I'm just gonna basically work this top that direction, and then I'm gonna drop down to what I would assume would be a more bedding elevation, and then work it back that way. And then I'll probably jump all the way down to the bottom of where I can access and run it that way. Just looking for more sign or clues of where he might be held up, or he may be lower. I was just about back to this terrain edge, and I did jump one solo deer. I could not get eyes on it, I just saw the body ripping through. It's just so thick back here. The deer was up in here somewhere, not far from the edge. And then right here is where this thick edge meets the steep drop-offs. And it looks great. It's not only steep and rocky and jutty, it's also very thick. I'm feeling really good about this. So, like I said before, I'm just gonna work this edge where this thick stuff meets where the terrain starts, all the way out, just to get an idea maybe where they're coming up, where there's more sign, just so I have a focus point when I drop down and start working the benches back. But ideally, like I've been setting up before, I'd love to find some kind of intersection up here where they're going down and running this way, and then a scrape or something right with it. And that'll be a good cell cam spot to get whatever they're doing at night. And then my scouting today will tell me where I need to hunt if he is here on the camera. Or I have him on the camera and I don't know where to hunt, and then I just know where to start and I just work it from here. All right, I walked out the top a little bit. I didn't like what I was seeing. There's some trails, but it's definitely doe trails. I did find an old climber. It doesn't look like it was used in the last 2 years, so I doubt anyone's actually hunting it. So I dropped down to that first tier that I wanted to hit, and I'm glad I did. The trails have been tore up the whole way. There's been rubs consistently, but they're old rubs, but they're from last year. And I just found my first bed right here. Now this whole thing is very steep and sideways. And then there's just little bitty jut out knobs. Probably from the base of this tree, there's roots upholding this little spot, and there's a bed here. It's not used recently, probably hasn't been used much at all since last year. I combed some of the leaves back and I was able to find hairs in it. So I'm guessing this bed doesn't get used until pressure pushes them up or something switches that they end up moving up the mountain more, because I'm on this top third here where the people that are hunting down below on the private land, I doubt they're coming this far, especially in archery season. So deer are probably coming all the way up to this top third, bedding on this little bitty knoll, not getting bothered by anyone. The closest hunting pressure was a few hundred yards up that way towards the top. So they can just tuck in this little pocket, and then when it gets dark, they move down a little bit, and then when it's pitch black, they head all the way out. So that it's just so secure, they never get bothered. I'm gonna mark this bed. There's nothing here telling me it's a big buck. The bed looks bigger than average, but there's no way to really tell. Yeah, I'm just gonna mark it in case it ties in later when I start finding more stuff maybe down below. But for now, I'm just gonna keep running the same terrain all the way out and keep finding these little bitty beds, maybe some bigger sign. It comes to a drainage out here that juts in with a nice little U. That's my main focus point today that I'm really excited about. It's farthest from everything. It sets up perfectly for terrain, and if it looks like this, it's gonna be very good bedding, and it's very hard to get in on them. I like it because I can backdoor it or come in from below. So depending on where this deer is going at night, whether he's going up or down, I'll be able to access either way in the morning and get on top of him, and I'll have an actual chance to kill him. But more than anything, the way these trails are running, this looks like a very good rut spot. Just a lot of sign and just beat down tracks. So I saw a trail that wide on that steep stuff I was on, and it came up and there was a lot of tracks in it. So I started working it all the way up. I started finding some decent rubs, nothing crazy. And then right where it crests the top against the thick, another really big rub, just like the one we found last week. It looks almost identical in size. The tree itself is pretty wide, but there's break-offs all the way up to the top here, right at my like chest level. Right here, eye level's right here for me. So this is very high break-offs. Very good sign. I'm not seeing any scrapes or anything. It is a pretty worn trail. I'm gonna keep going. This leads right to where I want to go and focus on. So hopefully it just keeps getting better. I really want to put my cell camera somewhere around that ravine where I have a lot of down travel, up travel, and cross travel. Where this is more of a cross travel with a little bit of variation high and low. I'm almost into the heart of that ravine. Coming in from that last big rub, I just followed the terrain line all the way around where it started cutting into where the ravine kind of starts on the one side. And there's just a lot of old rubs, big rubs, consistent and beat down past. There's no recent rubs, so I'm assuming a lot of the tracks are probably from does, but this looks really good. And I have not seen one camera, haven't seen one stand, not even a boot print. This is very remote from where I access, and it would be a pain to get back here, but this looks great. The sign tells me it's not going to be probably till mid-October when they start moving through here, or even rut. But I'm going to move into more of the heart of it. You can see a lot of rocks, a lot of blowdowns, typical stuff you see in kind of ravines here. And it's just a little bitty jut out before it does a hard bank on the other side. Like I said, it was a dirt path where this kind of cut up across the top of some rocks, and that would be a very good kill spot. But I'm hoping it gets better over here where this V kind of forms right in the middle, because I assume there'll be more up and down travel on that as well. I've been seeing a lot of dug in prints. It looked like I may have jumped something up doing this, but I haven't physically seen anything running or spooking or even hear it. It's so thick though, I wouldn't be able to see anything. Yeah, there's the other hard side of the drainage there. I'm still seeing old rubs all around. There's a lot of activity in this drainage. So this trail, you can see it moves up through here and goes up to the top. And this up here meets another terrain line that goes left and right. And this should meet at the top of the drainage. Yeah, this is just perfect in here. There's so many bedding opportunities from when I started to even this point. And this drainage alone could hold so many deer on different terrains. Just, it's great. I'm still working the ravine. I followed a pretty beat down trail coming down like I was hoping I would see. And it continues to go down that way. There's a trail that goes directly that direction, and then a trail that obviously crosses right here. And it's the only really easy spot because everything else is nasty rocks. So they're collectively crossing right here. It looked like there might have been a scrape right in under those pine trees over there. It's hard to tell because it's also on the main travel point. But then when they cross the creek, they come over here. That looks like it's probably a last year rub, but that's very good size. Over there. Now this goes up to a little bit of a jutty point and a very steep side. And it looks very promising for bedding. And now that I'm seeing all this sign that seems to be coming from that direction, I do believe there's probably a good buck bedding up on that edge. I just jumped a pretty big deer. I didn't get to see its head to see what it was. I'm on a really steep point, pretty much. I'm on the edge of the point. I'm starting to wrap around the actual point. Now it was bedded somewhere on this face. It's still pretty thick, but it's a lot steeper than everything's been. But it's more of an undergrowth thick than a bunch of bushes and trees. So there's a lot more room for an animal with big antlers to move around. I'm seeing a lot of old rubs in here. It's giving me a vibe that this is where bucks are bedding. Not so much that this is a doe area. where these bucks are just marking up. Coming down into this, it definitely gave me a different vibe than all the other bedding areas I found. And I have been just seeing a lot of old rubs in here. I'm just going to keep working around this. There may still be deer within close proximity of me, but this feels right. Where all those beds were up that way, quite a ways. Probably another 2 benches above here. And I kept following the sign, the rubs, the trails, and they all kept dumping down into this main point. And then it opened up right here. And this place is just flattened with deer traffic. There's old rubs all around this, above this, below this, each side. And I just jumped up a lot of mature does. There's still one hanging somewhere right on the other side of this tree. But there was a couple other deer below that I couldn't see that they ran into that also took off. This is just a main core doe bedding area with a lot of does. So this place is going to get monitored. So I'll be able to see what bucks are in the area. Most importantly, when they move in on these does, I'll know where to go and how to get on them. Because these does are bedding very specific with this location. She's got to be only 30 yards up there, but I can't see her. It's thick. Yeah, this place is just beat down. Where I found that other big rub and the crossing for the creek was that direction. So everything kind of connects right here. Where the reason they're traveling that corridor is to get to this spot here. I haven't found much that was, besides that first spot with the really big rub and the bed below it. I haven't found anything that I'm very confident in that I would want to come back here and hunt until I got here. Just the amount of buck sign surrounding this tells me when this gets hot, it gets very hot. So I'm gonna mosey around just a little bit in this bedding area, see if there's any natural scrapes, anything that might be a better target to set up on. But if I don't see anything, I'm just gonna put it in this main corridor over there where all the open travel is. Like I said, all I need is nighttime sign. But this is very remote, very steep, very thick, that these deer would probably move in here all day. It's just a big bubble of security that nobody's touching. Alright, I think that's going to conclude today. So this is going to be the spot. I can't get a cell camera to connect, so I can't put one in here. And I don't have any SD cams. But down here is the main doe bedding, and there's 2 distinct trails that run right through there. And down over this is a little bitty bench, and there's another beat down trail. There's rubs coming in from this way, rubs coming in from this way, big rubs down below. And I know I have some rubs up that direction, and I'm sure I'll find more as I go up this way. The idea is I'll probably come in here before season, because there's another spot I want to check farther out, but I'm just running out of time today. So when I come in to do that other spot farther out, I'll probably drop down in here quick, hang an SD cam, and then back out and then continue scouting farther in on different stuff. But I can come in here, I think I would probably hunt this in the morning. I come in from the top. The deer seem like they want to go down, so they're probably going down at night to feed on the bottoms. So I can slip in right into the back door. I can stay above the trails there by setting up maybe in this oak here, maybe over in here, somewhere above those trails to shoot anything cruising through here. It's September 21st. I am back out where I left off. I brought a camera with me today and a couple extras. So here's this doe bedding area I'm in. Trail comes right through here, skirting the top of it. I made a scrape right here that I opened up, and the trail goes down that way. There's a bunch of beds and trails that go up through here, and there's even more bedding up on the steeper stuff up there. I snuck in here real quiet today, and I didn't see anything or jump anything, so I'm starting to think maybe they did bed up on the top, and they were only down here that day because I pushed them into this. So this might be their little holding area where they come down to at night before they branch off and start going down the mountain. My camera is right down there, aimed up, so I can hit these trails, the scrape, and then anything that might be meandering through this top or coming down. If I was going to hunt this, I think the tree I would pick out would probably be the one back in there, just because then I would be off the trails that come down, and I'd be far enough away that if any doe came in early and mingled right here, I don't think they would see me. That way when a buck came back in later that morning to bump them or whatever, I'm still good. If I came down any closer, I feel like my scent would pull down in here, or they would just cross my trail, or like I said, I'd be right on top of them, eventually they would just look up. So plan is to stay on this terrain today, and I'm just gonna run it that direction, probably another mile or two, and I have a really good feeling that what I'm looking for is gonna be that way. There's been big rubs on this terrain line the entire way, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. And the more I get that way, it's closer to more preferred ag, I believe. So I think I'm gonna find it. I think that's where it's gonna be. All right, I'm not too far from where I was, maybe a quarter mile. And I got into more really rocky stuff that starts really pinching stuff down. And there's been nothing but big rubs all through here. It's all last year's stuff, but there is a mature buck or a lot of mature bucks in this section that is just tearing this place up. And then I got to right here, and there is a lone bed right in the middle of all this drainage. And there is a lot of hair in this bed. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not. Yeah, you can see it. So this is getting used heavily and recent. It's hard to determine size because it starts over in here to about there, but most of the bed actually sits on this rock, so you can't really tell where it stops on the rock. There's nothing coming in from behind this bed. It's just very, very treacherous rocks. And then when you look down, you can pretty much see this whole bottom, so there's no way to come in on it. Now the blind spot is on the other side of that knob. So I could come in from the direction I just walked very quietly, and I could set up on the other side of that knob, hoping that when it got up it came that direction. I may be able to set up a little lower on the other side of the knob that I could probably shoot into this if it's just got up and went down. It's hard to say if this is a buck bed or not, like I said, but there's no other beds around, and there's a lot of big rubs around it. My gut's telling me it's not, but I don't know. I've been wrong before. Just jumped a group of bucks. One looked like a 100-incher. The other one had a really big body, and all I could see was a little bit of his main beam, but it definitely looked like a much better buck. They're just out ahead of me. They're not really spooked because they don't know what I am. I think they just heard me and took off. But it wasn't even a takeoff. It was just like a quick trot and stop and slow walk. I'm gonna just creep up here, see if I can get an angle down. Maybe get eyes on what they were. I'm hooking up around them. I'm trying to get above them where I wanted to go anyways, but if they run out the bank or out the bench and then cut up, they may run into me again. But I was working this up and I kept seeing some really good rubs, and then walked into this bed. Hard to see from the angle on that, but there you go. It's a pretty good bed. It's definitely a buck bed. The good rubs are down that way leading up to this bed, and there's hairs in it I can see. So I marked this bed. I'm gonna keep working up, but I'm almost back to where I want to be, but I'm already getting into more deer, more buck, more sign. I'm seeing buck. Should just keep getting better the more I go that direction. Starting to run into some fresh sign. There's a couple fresh rubs over there. There's one here. Whatever worked that one, ripped it out of the ground. Really uprooted it. But that's way over chest high where he was hitting. So he was hitting there, and he was working it all the way up the top, and you can see tine marks even higher than that. So there's something in here right now. And I'm not getting giant vibes, but it definitely seems like a better buck. I'm almost to where I wanted to be, and it starts to get a little thicker in this pocket, which is even better. It goes from more open stuff to thicker. I'm getting the fresh sign right on the edge of it, heading into it. So once I get in there, I might getting into more bedding stuff, probably more sign. This up here is definitely night sign. All right, I'm pretty much done today. I worked all the way out a couple miles into the area I wanted to hit. And it got more open, as you saw in the last video. And it just stayed like a more desirable hunting situation, where it's more open, a lot of flat oaks, nothing crazy thick, nothing rocky. And of course, with that came a lot of tree stands, stuff like that. So I pretty much wrote this whole end off. I did jump those deer earlier, but I think they were younger deer. And there's just too much pressure over here. I don't see him being in this area. So that writes off a lot of the section that I was thinking of. So now I narrowed it down pretty good.